at that person or telling that person is suggesting to that person that you will not do anything that will impress me. You cannot do anything that will impress me because your every ways are wayward. You are negative of what I positively have put into your head or have positively encourage you to do. You're doing the negative thing instead of the positive thing that I am encouraging you every day to do. I try to put you together and you guys just split. The more I bring it together, you are all over the place. So it is obvious. Now I'm talking even more in the terms of the physical term because I'm a physical man, and that what is more realistic and real is what I can really use to analyze these things. But I also think of it as something that can be related in the spiritual sense of things that we do not see, that sometimes drives us and moves us here and there. So if people, I also have met, an elderly man who was today actually, who had to suggest, and he's actually a man of a tutor who should, I believe, should know, but he has grown up believing in religion, thinking religion calming him, or religion can bring improvement, and religion can be better than any other. Religion can silence. Now I was seeing that he is talking on a point of view that religion has got a very strong, wicked and barbaric way of doing things, more deeper and harsh punishment, harsh serious capital punishment, that religion has got those things, which can frighten people and put people into a better state, that even if you are, let's say, a thief or something like that, there's some of the designed method that religion used to use. I mean, if they put you through that, or you see somebody being put through that, you won't even think like stealing or doing anything. That is the whole thing about it. But there's also one side of it that people don't see. Mostly innocent people were slaughtered and put through that way of, because it was men who are implementing this sort of wicked thing. Even though it is effective, it is also very damaging and very so inaccurate in its judgment. What judgment they use, nobody knows. So if they rule and you fall into it and you are innocently caught into it, you can imagine what will happen to you, and you can imagine how many innocent people die as a result of that. Look at this country, let's say Britain or America and the West, that are now being convinced to adapt some of the religious things like Sharia law, or let's say any other religious practice. They are being convinced every day. The younger guys who are not thinking things through, they are being told, because they all want power. They all want power, and they see that if they embrace certain religious ways and will give them power, then they sort of will welcome it into the system, and they'll have to go to some referendum or something, vote, and make sure that thing works. I hope that wouldn't come, but if these people do this, they'll regret the rest of their life. It wasn't good then. People have moved out of that, and you think it'll be good now. You can imagine that despite all the liberation of that time in this country, even though the rules and all those things were tough, they still have tough rules of punishment. Even though they're releasing, they realize that they have, most times, innocent people are caught into the situation. And sometimes you cannot reverse it. If you take the life of an innocent person, how are you going to reverse it? And that person may be very valuable. Some people can lie and twist things around and lead people into that kind of punishment. And we know the capabilities of men and women, and even leaders sometimes can connive and use all kind of means and put other people into some serious torture or something like that. So the system acknowledges these things, and still we can tell that somehow, with all these lack of tough religious rules and all that, life was okay. People, the difference is that when we fall under the secular way, the political way of doing things, and not necessarily the religious way, there is this chance where liberation, where people will do what they want. I accept that. But it will be part of also knowing that as an individual, you have the self-responsibility to protect yourself. In America, it is also done. You have to protect yourself as an individual. So you have every right to silence that person who wants to be wretched or silly in front of you, or try to be tough, or try to harm you in any way, because you have every right to defend yourself from that. The law is there, and if you play right, yeah, because there's always people who will always take chance and take advantage of certain situations. But where you take the other side, in this one that I'm talking about, where there's that liberation, where you have to protect yourself, you have every right to protect yourself, and you also have the system in such a way cannot be blamed too much, of innocence, people being innocently put into some sort of ending up in some sort of harsh punishment, or some sort of capital punishment, which they was not due them, because at the end of the day, the system will sort of really have that room to disregard certain strong, rigid accusations that might come up. So you can really think of it that, I will have the free will to defend myself. But in certain situations that we're talking about, where that rigid religious rule, you won't have that chance. When you are put into that situation, that's it. The leaders decide, and they decide, and that is when they decide, it's finished. But in the other what do you call it, world, the leaders is not all up to the leader in this political sense, and then in our everyday secular way of approaching it. It is not up to the leader. It is more up to the general public, or let's say looking at the fair system and how the evidence might be able to come up, And so rather they find ways to invent things that will give more evidence to whatever it is being said. But to be very honest, there are innocent people that have died that were good people in terms of the founders of even the religious groups. Good people who have died for nothing because of the strong rigid religious rule. And their story has been covered up. That's the thing about it, because they can get away with it. So it is religion has really made us lose a lot. And these good people, or this good group of these innocent people that whose name are covered up, that we can't even know about. Unless you were really distinguished in so many ways, like you were really unique, different, and you were public. That's where you come out. There are innocent people who were so quiet, and they never had a chance to, but very, very, very useful. They were important to life. That their name were covered. We've lost a lot of good people in life as a result of religion, because their name were covered, somehow prevented people from, bringing, opening up to the public about their issues, which is very damaging, But today, it's quite a bit different. Even though it's not the best, we still have these tough religious, rules, and a little bit of rigid rules, which makes certain individual empowered to sort of decide the fate of somebody. So we have to be very rigid, careful about these things. If you talk of religion in a fact, even if it's not a rigid rule, I believe that if religion is authority comes from God Almighty, then let God rule. Let God be God. Let God be in authority. Let him decide. Let God speak for you to hear. Let that person who is being charged have God, speaking, because God has got the ability to know the truth about whatever you are being charged of, without, any mistakes at all. But they know that somehow we realize in the book, somehow I read in the book of Genesis, where God was saying sorry for doing certain things. So in the side of Jehovah, I can see that Jehovah is even acknowledging to wrongdoing, that he felt, he hasn't done the right thing, or he didn't do the right thing, he didn't treat people well, God feeling sorry and all that, which tells you that it is not as you might think of God, the perfect God that you are thinking of. It's not being presented in the Bible. You can find out, you go to the Quran, there are issues that you will also realize that no, it is not the perfect and righteous, God that you are looking for, ordering for the death of other group of people, or somehow advising the death of other, innocent people, which they are just for the mere fact that they are not